Hey guys, welcome back to the Manna Podcast. We have two very special guests today. We're so glad that you tuned in. I'm Matt.
We never introduced ourselves.
I know. Here are the guests we have.
Welcome back, Sue, and welcome, Doran. This is such a pleasant episode. Matt and I, in light of our recent engagement, decided that we were going to discuss marriage.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
So you guys want to share a little bit about your testimony as a couple, since you are one, united. Like, whenever you guys first met, how you knew you were the one for each other, and whenever you guys decided, like...
So we first met in Morristown, and I was actually leaving Morristown, and he was walking to a restaurant, and he stopped, and he started talking to me, and then I kind of thought nothing of it. He added me on Instagram, and then we just kind of did the whole liking each other's stories on Instagram for we met in 2017?
2017, I believe, yes.
And then, we did that for 3 years, and then when I moved to Hoboken...
3 years?
It was 2.5.
3 years?
Maybe 2 years.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
and then, actually my cousin Jessie, she was the one who said, she saw a picture of him and she said, "You're gonna marry him." And I was like, "No way." She said, "No, that's your husband right there." And I'm like, "We don't even talk. We occasionally like each other's stuff."
When did you guys switch phone numbers? How long into that?
In 2020. Was it?
I don't know.
I think
That's
so.
literally 3 years. You met in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
switched numbers in 2020.
No, we switched numbers on Instagram.
Did we on Instagram?
I think so. But
Maybe.
We
never
talked.
texted.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Hoboken, and I posted a story in my balcony. He's like, "Hey, I'm in Hoboken." And then I was like, and he was with his friend, and I was like, "We just finished dinner, you can meet up with us." And then he hung out, and ever since then, we've really been inseparable.
I wasn't actually in Hoboken.
No.
Oh.
He wanted to hang out. He wasn't in Hoboken. He was at
I've
home.
heard this story before. I don't think I've ever heard that
And
part.
then
Yeah, he was still at home.
I took an Uber to Hoboken.
You Ubered?
Yeah.
45 minutes.
Wow.
With
How
a
much
friend.
How'd you know I was the one?
Best money spent of your life.
Yeah, you got your wife.
I know. It all worked out.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh,
so then after that, we just started hanging out, every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kept him a secret from my family for June, July, August, September, October, November,
Sheesh.
about 5-ish months.
Yeah, I remember that part. I remember that part very clear. But I think that it was such a beautiful testimony for you guys, because we've talked about this before, obviously, outside of this discussion. But, the way that God pairs people, He has every person's purpose planned out from the beginning of time, and He knows every single person's path and way, and the way that He articulates that through each of us to meet each other and to come to salvation. Because this is another part of your guys' story as a couple, that Doran didn't know God, similar to me, kind of had the philosophical background,
Knew God, but didn't know
yeah,
God.
Didn't really care, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and then basically I remember I was in Johnny and Steffi's home helping tear down walls, and I was with my mom, and she was in such a great mood, and I was like, "This is the time." And I was like, "So, Mom, I met someone." I was so scared. The first thing she said is he a Christian? And I was like, "I'm working on it." I was like, "But he'll be at your birthday next week." It was almost November. And he came and was meeting the whole fam.
It was good. I mean, I didn't even know
He
you
met
went to
everybody.
church.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
was
even know you went to church
15
till
people.
maybe.
You didn't know our dad was a
September.
pastor?
No.
September,
Really?
maybe.
Yeah.
You
maybe
didn't
a month
know?
afterwards.
Suzu?
I
Like
know.
a month after.
Well, I think he knew I went to church because on
Sundays.
Sundays I'd be like, I have to go to
Yeah.
church.
Yeah.
But I don't think he knew the extent of what my going to church was.
Little did
I didn't
you
know she sang.
She's holding the
Yeah,
microphone.
he didn't know.
I didn't know she was a
He didn't
singer.
know everything about it. So it was because I kind of wanted to not tread lightly, but just see if he's even worth
Yeah.
Which you are. It's very worth it. But I wanted to see, like, I thought it was just maybe just like a little fling. So that's why I was like not opening up about everything about myself.
Right.
Yeah.
You have
makes
to. You
sense.
should.
Well, no,
not anymore,
because
but, you know.
because I was like, I'm so over guys at that point. I was looking for my husband fervently.
Fun fact,
Very
whenever I
much
first
so.
met Sue, Matt's family was like always into like board game nights, and we would sit there and Suzu would literally take videos like every single time we played. She'd be like, 5-wheeling.
Fifth wheeling over here, because it'd be them two and Johnny and
Yeah.
Zoe, and I
Yeah.
was like, but I kind of, some people are like, when you give up, like if you're in singleness, people are like, when you give up, that's when it happens. And it was COVID, like 2020, so I couldn't interact
Yeah.
with anyone.
Yeah.
So I really did give up, and I wasn't thinking about it. And then that's when he just popped up.
Popped up. Alright.
What did you think of her faith?
Oh, yeah.
I kind of just ran with it. You know, I didn't.
He liked me,
I didn't
so
like-
he was gonna do whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever I
Like,
wanted.
when you
him
love
to say.
someone, you're gonna try something out.
Oh,
you
amen.
know? And then
Yeah.
when I tried it out, it became
Like my
a new
parents are
experience.
like,
It was good.
when are
Good
you coming to
experience.
church? And he was like, oh, like I'll come next week, maybe like once a month.
I used to
once-
say every other weekend I go.
And then he came the first Sunday, and then I don't think he missed a Sunday
No,
after
I
that.
haven't, no.
He never did the whole every 2 weeks thing.
Besides me getting cold, but that's about it.
Yeah,
But I haven't missed
he's
out.
been at church every single time since.
So, for couples who are dating and one person's in the church and the other person's not, what do you think is a way to break
Good
the ice? Because
question.
for me and Anna, I just told her like, it's like not any choice. You have to come to church,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Well, that's kind of what I did with him too, because I was like, I have to have a Christian boyfriend at the time. I was like, I have to have a Christian boyfriend. Like, I need you to love Jesus and like be the same, because I said this isn't going to work out. And I point blank told him that one night. We were just walking on the pier in Hoboken, and I was like, if you don't love, I was like, and I like stopped because I was like, I don't know what he believes, and then I started like questioning everything, and I was like so heartbroken because I really liked him, and
Good.
and I was like, if he doesn't like, if this isn't from you, God, then I don't want it, and that's kind of, he was my first boyfriend because that's what I prayed with any guy I ever talked to. I said, if he's not from you, take my feelings away and just cut it off. And it's always happened because I never got to that point where we were like officially boyfriend, girlfriend with anyone.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
the Lord did, save me a lot from probably relationships I shouldn't have been in. But I think that once he met our family, and I was basically like, this is how it's going to go, and you're going to either come with me to church or we can't be together type of thing. It was really an ultimatum at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, it was the same thing for Matt and I. I mean, I remember the first time I went to church, and I remember it was the same thing as Doran. It was literally, honestly, because I just liked you and I wanted to be a part of what you had. I remember thinking, I will literally stand by this. I remember walking in there and having to stand up for worship, and I was like, these people are crazy. Because
think
it's
the
like,
same?
it's just
I
like
didn't know
so
what to do.
different.
I was like, like communion and like opening the cup and drinking the wine, the juice. I was like, what do
I know,
do
because
here?
it is like a culture shock if you never, like for us it's so normal. We grew up that way. That's like a normal Sunday.
Yeah.
For
but
you guys
think,
it's like, what?
I think what's so like ironic about Christianity and relationships is like there's so much room for interpretation sometimes in Christian relationships because people are willing to bend the means of their faith to get what the flesh wants. So like I think that one thing that Matt set in stone, and obviously you did too, praise God, you guys were raised right, I guess, in the faith is what we're really saying here. Kudos to Mimi. Because I know it's so hard for people to say, well, I love this guy so much, like I don't want to let him go, even though he's like has no interest in the church, like how hard that is. I think that because the standard was set so early on in our relationship and in yours, like I knew that if I wanted to be with him, I had to be in church. And even deeper, it wasn't about even attending church. I knew at one point or another, probably upon a conversation with your parents, that it wasn't just an attendance. It was you have to have an individual relationship with Jesus. And deeper, I think that a concept that's overlooked from the world into Christianity is like, you don't date to date in Christianity. Like
You
there's
date
no
to
date.
get married.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're looking for a partner that's gonna ride with you to eternity.
Yeah.
And there is so much soul behind that you like sometimes I think it's even hard to comprehend. Like we're engaged now in this season of preparation, and I know you talk about it all the time, like the high and the joys, but in my head, like the concept that's behind the covenant, the unity, like it's such a blessing that so many people overlook because Christianity is the only faith that views it in that true idea of matrimony.
Of like unity with one.
Yeah.
Because I know that like with Doran, I think his relationship with God kind of started with worship music because he's very into music. And
Chandler
he
Moore.
found Have My
Shout
Heart.
out Chandler Moore.
Have My Heart by Chandler Moore.
Yeah.
And he was like hooked on it. And then I saw him like singing worship songs and I was like,
who are you?
okay. Because that was it. I was like, if it's going to be unequally yoked, this is not going to work. Because I've seen it happen in friends, family. It does not work unequally yoked. You have to be like on the same page or else there's no foundation. So I think that for, I guess people like, if they're trying to get someone that they love to come to Christ, you need to tell them first how it is and then start with something small, like a scripture snippet, worship music.
Yeah.
Like that was his big thing. He would listen to songs that I didn't even hear yet that were worship songs. Like, tell me about it.
And
He'd
still
be like, listen to
does.
this song. I
Still
know.
does. Has you beat every time, Sims.
Yeah, me and Anna started pretty small too. I mean, I think I brought you over. My dad showed you a video of the Rapture, and then you were like, "I'm gonna come to church with you this Sunday."
And so is everyone else that I know.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's wild, like the way that God works, as I said earlier, because it's just like you don't know. I mean, I can't speak for Doran, but like in my head, prior to meeting Matt, even when we were dating in the beginning, like I never would have thought that so much change would come from such like a familiar concept that is just church. Like you just have no idea that so much lies behind the walls of Christianity and Jesus and God and his power and all that he can do to transform you. Because I mean, we look like we reflect on this quite frequently, but like our time in high school and what we were living like then to now even is just so amazing how God can pull you through any situation.
Yeah.
And I mean, in a lot of ways, I mean, my mom says this about Matt all the time, but like a he saved me type of deal. Like when you show someone salvation and then you fall in love with them in a romantic way, it's like the purest form of a love story that someone could truly have. Because it's like to show them Jesus, like he is your true love. He is your true one forever that you will only ever need. And I think that that's another hard concept to kind of match. Like I know we've talked about this before, but like in heaven there is no spouseship. There's unity with Jesus. We're all equal. Yeah, and it's wild and it's hard, but like the fact that you can share in this during the earthly period that we're in and just like ride along together is just so awesome. It's such a privilege.
And I was told too, like when I was looking for my husband, someone prophesied and said, "You'll get a fixer-upper."
Oh.
And I was like, a fixer-upper, and I fixed you right up to love Jesus.
You did a lot of praying for your future husband, I feel like.
So much praying. I would like cry about it all the time. Like, where's my husband? I'm getting so old.
No.
Yeah.
Please.
And we got married when I was, 28? 27? You were 28? It was 22.
No.
3 years ago.
Yeah, I was 30. You were 29.
Were you 30? Oh.
Or we were both 30.
No, I wasn't 30 yet.
Yeah, because August.
Of 2022.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, since you guys have been married for 3 years, we'll go into my first question, if that's cool.
Yeah.
So, since you've been married for 3 years, what do you feel is the most important aspect of your teamwork? Because, like, we talk about unity. We believe in Christian faith that you become one, and then that you're also becoming one under a covenant with God. So, like, you're joined in matrimony through God's blessing, but you become one body.
Yeah.
Which I know is, like, essentially confusing because you're two people.
Even today, I talked about marriage with my mom, and she basically said that, like, if your marriage is hurting, it's because you guys are, or if one person in the marriage is hurting, it's because one person, you make a whole. So it's like half of you is hurting, and that's why you feel the pain of your spouse, because you guys are one together. So it's like, it truly is like Doran and I'm always like, we are one. And when we talk, and I don't know, like if we argue or anything, he's very patient.
Patient, yeah. I'm patient.
And he's like slow to speak, slow to get angry.
It's a gift.
So
it's a gift.
I know.
And he just listens. As a lot of men do. Yeah. He is very patient and he's very like calm. And I think that's maybe the reason why we hardly argue. If we have something, we kind of nip it in the butt right away. I don't think we fight often.
No, we try not to.
And we don't. And like we like bicker over like little things, but nothing that's like a fight or anything.
Nothing more than like 2 hours. Less than that, actually.
I love that you know the
like
time.
But that's like if it's like a bad fight.
Yeah.
If it's like a bicker, we just like play a joke on each other and it's over.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen often, and I always claim that, you know, the Lord will be the center of our relationship, and we rebuke the enemy, we rebuke the devil. He has because he tries to bring discord to relationships, especially marriages. Mm-hmm. He hates them. He hates families. Yeah, so marriages, they go, obviously, once you're married, you have children, and that's a whole family, and he hates that. Even sibling bonds, he hates any type of harmony within each other. He tries to break that peace. And actually today, in Galatians 5:22, it's the fruit of the Spirit. Yeah. And we were talking about earlier today, peace. Mm-hmm. And when you're reading through it, that it says joy, peace, patience. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you're supposed to bring to your marriage. You have to have the joy and the peace and the patience with each other, because we're happy probably 99% of the time.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Why don't we do that?
once you're married, like, I'll be thinking something, say it out loud, he's like, that's exactly what I was just thinking. But it's like your like brain merges with each other.
It's power. I know
crazy.
I heard someone say this one time in the form of advice, and they had said that a marriage is often referred to as like 50-50, but it's really 100%, because you don't give half of yourself. You're giving 100% of yourself. And I think that's so awesome. To honor the idea of teamwork and the power of unity is just miraculous.
And like sometimes one of, like, in a marriage, you might be 80, like I might be 80 one day and he's 20, and then like it makes up the 100%, but I think that you can't always evenly split it, because there's going to be days where one of us is down, or one of us, something happened at work or at home or whatever. Like, it's not always going to be butterflies and rainbows, but that's what you do. You pick that person up, you find compromise, which is a big thing in relationships. You have to compromise. And the best marriage advice my mom ever gave me was pick your battles. Like, I used to get mad sometimes when he would play Call of Duty or any of his video games. And I'm like, what about me? Why don't you just give me time? And my mom was like, but that's like his outlet. You find an outlet. And I thought that he was like choosing that over me, and that wasn't even it. He just likes playing video games. And
now they're both heavily addicted to video games.
And a moral of the story. And this is like, I have to go play Call of Duty.
And, like, the thing is, like, that resonated with me, because there were some times where I can get mad at something, or even that he was playing, and I'm like, you know what, no, it's not worth a fight, it's not worth arguing, and I kind of have that mindset now with certain things. It's not worth a fight, it's not worth arguing. I mean, if you really need to say something, obviously, if it's something, like, affecting you, but it was just, he's playing it. Yeah. And then I thought, what better way to bond with my husband than to learn how to play?
Oh my gosh! True
and now it's something we love doing together.
Yeah, that's the way to be. Ecclesiastes 4, it talks about, this is pretty common for like marriages, but that's the one that says that two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up, and it just talks about like the balance within marriage as well. And I think that that's super important. Like, you brought up the term equally yoked, which is the title of today's episode. And I know the Bible speaks of this in a couple different parts, but Paul addresses this with the Church of Corinth very strictly, very clearly, whenever he's explaining that idea of balance, that like, although one person might be giving 80% of themselves, someone might be giving that 20% of themselves. If the other person doesn't give that 80, then there's percentages out for the enemy to come in and grab and toil with and break in and cause destruction.
Yeah.
And it's like you kind of have to be, not kind of, you have to be equal with each other. And you envision like the two oxes with the workload on their head, and like if they're not moving at the same pace, or one is distracted or one is weak, like they fall back and they're not able to get the job done. Because at the end of the day too, and this is a huge point that I'm learning, and I know Matt is learning right now, but as we prepare for marriage, as you enter into the beauty of matrimony, you're still serving Christ. Like you're still getting married as a form of glorifying God. Like Paul talks about the fact that, like, okay, you don't have to get married, you don't have to be with a partner, but to avoid the burning of lust, to avoid the natural
But I feel
wants.
like we're designed to want love.
Exactly.
And to want, like, that intimacy, and to want, I mean, the Lord made it. Initially, Adam and Eve, like, he knew that Adam needed a spouse, he needed a partner with him. So, I think it's, like, completely normal, and I know that people go through times where they're single and hurting, and why didn't my husband come yet? And if I ever settled for any of those gross anything before him, like I'm like so thankful to God that they were taken out of my life, because I was like, if I knew that Doran was the one I was going to marry and I settled for someone else, I would have been miserable, and that wouldn't have been God's will. And that's why it's so important to pray that, like, God, your will be done, because if it's mine or any of ours, we would not succeed.
Knowing that you guys have reached like a level of success nonetheless in your marriage, like you guys are not at a peak of anything, but you guys have been riding on like a consistent high now, like serving God. You guys are doing the most right now in the church and everything together and prospering. What contributes to the marital success? Like, what is your secret of secrets to give to people?
I don't think it's a secret. I think it's just giving our marriage to God.
Yeah.
That's about it. Like, there's no worries. There's no struggle. There's no stress.
Because, like, for me, I'm like, and Doran says it too, like, God's will is going to be done no matter what we want. And, like, if we're worried or stressed, normally people take it out on each other. We're kind of just like, at the end of the day, God's got us. And, like, that's it. Like, I'm not going to worry about stuff that is just going to cause me stress and cause my body stress. And he's always like, don't stress about it. He's like, God will take care of it. Like, so he always brings me down to, like, the level that I should be.
Again, it's that 80,
everything always works out. Everything always works out in the end. It's like,
and he says that, like, we've
point.
had so many times in our lives where we were, like, struggling, or we're like, what are we going to do? Even, like, when we were moving into our first apartment, when we got married, we were like, we need so much money. And we literally, God blessed us within the month of all the money that we needed. And we were like, how do we get this? How are we here? Like, and that we just gave it to God, and we were like, we're not going to worry about it, because at the end of the day, if he doesn't want us to live here, then we won't. And that's basically how we live our lives. You have to have Jesus at the center of your relationship, and you have to just trust him no matter what, because he's never failed us. He always wins, and that's what we go off of.
Just true surrender.
Yeah, my parents are a great example of that. Just having so much faith, I think that kind of helped us.
They got through like a lot.
Yeah.
We've seen them get through a lot in their marriage and in life with all of us, that I think that's true. That was a great role model, and like a good model in general of if he did it for them. And their stuff was way worse than what we had. Because they had 4 kids too, so like it was a lot more stressful, I'm sure. But they gave it to God, and that's what we do, and that's what we'll do too with our kids.
Yeah. Even now, I'm struggling to buy something that I need, and it's a lot of money, and my dad's just like, well, pray about it. If it costs $3,000, pray about it. You're gonna find one that's only $50.
There you go.
The best is like Matt needed a truck. What was that? A couple months ago when you were looking before you got bingo, and Axel's just like, he's just like, Matt, what kind of truck do you want? And Matt was like, well, I kind of want an F-350. He was like, okay, F-350. Did you want a specific color? And I was like, why are you buying it? And he's like, no, I'm gonna go pray about it. I was like, oh, sorry. But that's just how God operates. I mean, you hear all the time that marriage is like one of the hardest things to deal with. I mean, that's like all people have been telling Matt and I. They're like, oh, you're getting married, that's great. Hardest thing to do in the world.
People told
like,
us too.
It's like nonstop. But I mean, like you guys said, I align with that so much with the Lord, because if there's anything I feel like he's constantly teaching all of us, it's the idea of surrender. Like every day there's a concept of surrender in your life. But with marriage, it's like a duel. You have to be in agreement, and you guys obviously have accomplished that in such success. Like, to agree to surrender together is where I think a lot of Christian married couples are like, no, not doing that.
Because some people are so stuck in their ways, or they're so stubborn. And we still are both very stubborn. But I feel like with each other now, we learn to give in or give grace. Because we know how we are, and it's just me a stalemate, so one of us has to give in. But everyone always says, and don't let this scare you, everyone always says the first year of marriage is the hardest, it'll make or break you, and we were fine. We loved it, we enjoyed it, there was things here and there, but nothing, like, major, and we were like, why do people say the first year of marriage is so hard? And then I guess it's because you get, like, adjusted, you're living with someone, that type of thing, but we were good.
Pretty good.
I always thought it was so strange whenever people say that about marriage, that it's like so hard, because I always thought to myself, like, if you're marrying someone, like, obviously you're going to move in with them, like, you're going to share a space with them, like, do you not know everything or almost everything? Like, I mean, you know if someone is clean or not clean. You know if someone is hygienic or not hygienic.
Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're not clean. You're not going to know until you move in. Like, even people that were like, if you're living with them and this and that, before you're married, it's even harder once you're married, which I don't agree with living before, but they're like, it's gonna be so much harder. I'm like, but why is it so hard? Like, they didn't put their toothbrush back in the right spot, or like...
It's also like you didn't know that they weren't gonna put their toothbrush back. Like, if you know them type of deal.
I agree, and maybe that's why some people, they don't really know their spouse. Doran and I, we discussed everything when we were still dating. Like, there was nothing that was a secret to either one of us.
No secrets.
And that's the other thing. In marriage, in marriage, you have to be, or even before marriage, you have to be so transparent. Jinx.
Sheesh, they're on a roll. They planned this. It's not real. They scripted it. I'm kidding.
No, but you have to be so transparent, because that's the only way you'll know. Like, even the hard conversations of anything from, like, their past or what they believe, like, you have to have those conversations or it will not work. And you can't be scared, because I wasn't scared to tell Doran my relationship with Jesus and all that, because I was like, if he doesn't want that, he can kick rocks.
Goodbye.
Well, it took you a month to tell me, but it's okay.
She was just praying
I was praying.
Yeah, nature.
In the end, it all worked out. So.
It did.
Well, it says in Proverbs 27, I believe, whenever it talks about how iron sharpens iron. And I think another question I would have for you guys is, how does your individual relationships with Jesus contribute to the foundation and the benefit and the success of your marriage? Because so many times you see, yes, unequally yoked couples, but also couples that claim to be equally yoked that are actually, like, not in unity and step with the Spirit for themselves, because, like, one person isn't really in tune with God and they just try to go on about it.
As you level up in your relationship with Jesus individually, like, we both have a relationship with Jesus, and as you grow closer to him, you get closer, like the cliche, like, triangle.
Hey, bring it up.
The triangle.
People don't know it, go for it.
Where I'm here, he's here, and Jesus at the center, and we just try to get closer to him.
Yeah.
And I think the milestones of his relationship with Jesus is, like, getting baptized, speaking in tongues, and as those things happen, I feel like we got closer.
I think also, like, music helped us, like I said earlier, with the channel.
Like, we would just, like, music, worship.
And then Susan asked me to be on the worship team, and we started singing together.
Yeah.
That brought us closer too.
Yeah.
And now you can't get this guy off the stage.
Well, it's important probably to preface too, like, I think that, again, back to the God-ordained plan, like, God orchestrated them together. I mean, music is obviously huge in your guys' relationship, but Susan is already...
all the time.
Yeah, it's annoying. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But it's true. I mean, I can testify to this all the time, because we experience a lot of nights praying together, and they're on the queue, they're on Spotify, like, running out the playlist and whatever, but they both have such a connection, such a passion. Like, when one song comes on, like, you can tell that there has been prayer to that song before. Like, there have been tears shed to, what's the one song that you always play "I'll Wait on You."
I Wait on You.
Yeah, like you
Wait
can
on
tell,
You.
you can tell that the Lord operates through music in such a mighty way.
Yeah.
And I think of like David in the Bible and how he was just such a man after God's own heart. Yes, but how he was moved and influenced by the Holy Spirit through the presence of music.
Yeah.
And the fact that
And
he
he
could,
loved music, dancing, worship,
all of it.
praising.
He was able to unify.
That's literally, I
through
think,
it.
how Doran really got started with his
Yeah.
relationship with Jesus was
Through
music.
So you're
Because you
David.
could feel something.
Guess so.
Like when you're worshiping, you feel it.
Yeah.
It's not just like you're sitting there singing some words. Like you can really feel it. And like when he sends me a new song, it's literally on repeat in our car for ever.
Yeah.
Well, when he sends us songs, I mean, he sent, I don't even know what the
Slow
battle
Down.
song. No,
Oh.
well, that one too. We could go on about all the songs. But there's one song, I actually sent that song to
Red
my...
Rock.
Yeah.
Worship.
No,
Yes,
yeah.
but
Oh,
only
yeah.
this, just the clip of the spontaneous whenever it's
Oh,
like the
so
2
good.
minutes of
Oh,
the
yeah.
deep worship, and I sent it to my mom, and like it moved her life. Like the gift of music is amazing, but the
Yeah.
fact that like God orchestrated it so perfectly through them is evidence, people, of what God can do in a relationship. Because I think too, people like have so many assumptions on the outside, like, oh,
Yeah.
that marriage won't work. Like you hear that all the time,
Yeah.
of people like saying all this stuff, but like you just don't know what God has.
Also, a big thing to do for yourself and being married that I do constantly over both of us. I'm sure Doran does too, and he's praying. But I bring myself to the courtroom of heaven so the enemy can never say anything in the courts against either one of us. So I pray, Lord, if I said something over myself, or Doran said something over himself, or somebody has said something over us, even if we don't know it, I break that chain and I rebuke the enemy, and he cannot hold it against me. And maybe that's why, there hasn't been, I don't know, bad things necessarily that have come to us, because I don't allow it. I stop it, and I pray that, and I've been praying that even before I met him, that I saw a sermon and this woman said, you have to bring yourself to the courtroom of heaven, because it's you and the enemy, and God is on the throne, and he's trying to say, well, she said this over herself, and she called herself this, and this person called her this, and that's why you have to say, Lord, I'm coming to the courtroom of heaven, and I'm rebuking anything I said over myself or someone has said over me, because you don't know what people say behind your back.
Yeah.
You don't
True.
know what they say over your marriage, over your relationship. They could be like, that's going to fail. When you say, I rebuke that, whatever they say, that's erased.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to bring yourself to the courtroom of heaven and say, this is not going to get into my family, into my marriage, into my relationship.
That's so good.
Do you want to, real quick, just explain what it means to be equally yoked? We keep talking about that just for the viewers who might not know what it means.
Yeah, well, I mean, I briefly touched on it with just the idea, like, the oxes, that is a real reference, like, the two oxes, like, being able to move and do, like, farm work together simultaneously. I'll put a picture up, but I do have a scripture that actually says in 2 Corinthians 6, verse 14, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness, or what fellowship has light with darkness? And in biblical reference to the unequally yoked, I think it's referring to belief, like, because the way that God looks at it is like a heart issue. So if someone's heart believes in Jesus as the Savior, as their redeemed Savior, and they have like this salvation over their life, and their partner doesn't, they can't function in life together, because one person's thinking of eternity, one person's kingdom minded, and the other person's worldly minded. And I think that that's super significant for a lot of marriages in terms of destruction, but I also think it's something to consider outside of Christianity. Like, there are many other religions and stuff that this is very prevalent, because the Bible is prevalent in all things, but in religions where people, I mean, I know so many couples that are Catholic and Jewish, and it's like they just don't function the same, but it's a very clear picture of like the unequalness doesn't mean that one person's like better than the other. It just means they can't operate at the same level at all.
And
Yeah.
if you can't operate, you won't have a successful relationship.
Yeah. My last question would be any advice you could spit out for newlyweds, people stepping into faith, because I don't know how you guys are so familiar with the stats, but I feel like I see more frequently today that people are resorting back to like very traditional, getting married super young. I mean, like 20 or like to 25 people are getting married within that range, and I think that is pretty dangerous, biblically speaking, because people get married too quick and they don't give the time for the Lord to operate, or they operate in a fleshly manner where they're just doing it for their own desire.
Yeah. I think that Doran and I had to go through really hard things while we were dating. Like, when he got hurt, he couldn't go to work for 5 months. He couldn't move. He literally had to lay on the ground. Like, he couldn't walk and anything. And we had to go through a lot of different trials.
Yeah, so early, too.
And, like, the first month of our relationship, basically. So I hope you knew I was the one when I was taking care of you and sending you Uber Eats and cooking for you.
Oh, not even that.
And
no.
She's the wife.
Taking you to doctor's appointments and all of that.
Yeah.
But that was like a month into our relationship, like officially being boyfriend and girlfriend. So I think that we had a lot of different things happen in our relationship that basically made us very strong when we got married. Mm-hmm. But I think that my piece of advice is you have to compromise, extremely compromise. Like, you have to just rid yourself of what you're programmed to do and used to do, because that's not how a relationship takes two people. So if you don't have those two people basically blending together, then you're not going to be able to function. And you have to have Jesus at that center. If Jesus is not in the center of your relationship, it will not prosper, because that's on your own will. And you have to just let go of your stubbornness, your pride, anything that you're basically bringing to this relationship that you had before. You have to, like, start new, like, fresh, like, baptize yourself, basically. Like, just to, like, be a new person for your person, so you can be the best person, if that makes sense.
It's so good.
Like, you have to just get rid of any type of, I guess, negative, I don't even know what the word is, like, pride, destruction, like, all of those.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of that to be able to really be successful in your relationship. And trust me, in the beginning, we were very stubborn, and we didn't know how each other operated.
Correct, of course.
So,
you learn.
And you learn, and now it's been technically 5 years of us being together. Yeah. And, I mean, you still learn things about each other.
You say, yeah, of course.
But you take it day by day. But I think that if you were to, be arguing with your partner, you kind of just have to, we've even, like, I think we've stopped and, like, prayed before, like, you just have to, like, nip it in the butt that it doesn't prolong, and don't ever go to bed angry, because that's
hey, that's a scripture. That's a scripture.
I know.
Find it. I don't know what it is.
Never go to bed angry, because my mom always says you never go to bed angry. You don't know what's going to happen the next morning. You don't know what the person's going to wake up or what happens on their way to work, and that's why even, like, if I'm on the phone with him and I try not to, if I'm, like, mad at him or something, I'm like, no, if I'm driving or he's driving, I'm like, you don't know what's going to happen. No matter what we do, we say I love you. Well, that's our whole family. We say I love you every end of the conversation on the phone.
Love you, bye.
Anytime you're leaving the house. Yeah, like, we've literally said it angry to each other, like, I love you, bye. But you have to, because you don't know what's going to happen. And, like, I can't imagine my life without Doran. I literally could never imagine my life without Doran.
Without me. I'm just kidding. Without you.
Well, there is a scripture, I think it's in Ephesians 4, to what Sue said about getting rid of, like, characteristics that are fleshly.
That's what it was. Characteristics. I couldn't think of the word.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know what it was either. But I think it does say, like, get rid of bitterness, anger, rage, slander, malicious intent, all the things. Because if you have it, like you said, it's just like you're causing, I think, kind of damnation on yourself in that way. I mean, like, let alone a partnership with someone.
If you enjoyed this session, please drop a like and hit that subscribe button. Subscribe right here. You can turn the ring notifications on up here and just drop a like right there. And we hope to see you guys again next Monday for another awesome podcast.
And you can't see them, but thank you so much to Susan and Doran for joining us.